The one thing that is different about this game is that not all the stats are shown on each side of the counter. Because the side with the stripe is the activated side, it only contains stats that are relevant to being activated. One thing that I also did not catch at first is in some of these cases the firepower and the armor values are different when they're activated to represent them being more evasive or less able to effectively fire while activated. In this case, a T-34-76 has firepower of 15 while unactivated. Its firepower is 16 while it's activated.
It's crap. Oh, sorry, I apologize.
The Germans.
It's no
It's a
Stug.
good tank. It's a good.
And the similar happens
Not in
with
Panzer, it's
the
not.
armor value, which is in the lower right, is increased while it's activated to represent its mobility and being more difficult to hit. So real quickly, the stats are on the left side is firepower, and the superscript number is range. So the black is
AP?
armor piercing AP rounds, and the white box represents high explosive or anti-infantry rounds.
Isn't that awesome?
So in each case, the effective firepower is 15.
Oh, you're going to get
However, the armor piercing has a range of 7, while the HE rounds have a range of 4. That is the base range, not the maximum range. You may actually fire up to triple, but there's a modifier at double and another modifier at triple range to your firepower.
Wow, you're going to get clammed.
In the lower right-hand corner is your armor value, and the subscript is flank. Flanks in this case is anything behind the center line,
Right.
sides and rear.
Right, look at that flipping fire.
With the flank.
So
Look at the
a
flank
23
Where?
from the front and a 16 from the
what
flank
are you?
for a T-34's
What are you
armor.
talking about? It's a little worse.
Now this is a radioless unit,
Yes.
like we were talking about earlier.
In this time, many of the Soviet vehicles were radioless. It's represented by the R circle on the counter. What that means is if these units are activated for movement and an advance, is that right?
Yeah.
For movement or advance orders,
Moving or assault.
movement assault orders, they pay double initiative if they are radioless. In the case of this, where they're within command,
Wait,
That
where's that R?
pays double?
Oh, right there. I
Times
see it.
the
activation
the
cost.
activation cost. So 2 times 0. We went through this.
Well, I know, but I'm saying.
They don't have a radio.
There
They
is no
have to-
zero. No,
they
there's
have
not a
to-
zero.
Right here, right
Mission
here, right here.
command would be 0.
Oh, you're saying for this.
And then
Yeah,
if this
command
flips
cost.
to 1.
Oh, Okay.
There's an order cost, and then there's a command
Oh,
cost.
we're not talking about order cost. We're
No,
talking about command
we're talking
cost.
about command
So it's either 2-0 or 2-1.
Now when this
No.
Two
comes,
times 2.
when
With
this
nothing
comes
out of
there,
command,
the
it's-
base
Oh,
is 2.
that's right. The base is 2. Okay, okay. So that's how you get. So anything with that symbol on it, which is
Yeah.
the
If
T-34s.
these radioless vehicles get out of command range,
They're in trouble.
they are not very effective.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wait, but when they're in command range 0,
Well,
2
it
times
depends.
the number.
Right.
Yeah.
It could be good.
okay,
then
when you
it could be
flip it,
kind of not
it's
good.
2. Okay.
See what I'm saying? Or 4.
Double.
So it's 0, 2,
and
4.
if there's nothing, it's a base of 2 times
Right.
2, which
Yes.
is 4. Yeah.
It's 4, yeah.
If it's 1,
I'm
it's
sorry.
So on the flip side, the activated side,
One other thing I want to cover on that.
special abilities.
Radius?
You got the A and the S there? Well,
Yeah, I was going to ask you, what is
the,
that?
The A is the APCR.
Yep.
Round, you would discard a fate card, and that affects your fire. You get the APCR when firing armor piercing. When you're closer, like it goes from +8 to a +1, from a range of 1 to a range of 8.
Oh, yeah. But this is, you mean on the activated side, you're
Yeah,
saying?
World War II.
The activated side is. I know.
Now right here, the A.
The A, and actually on the Stug, it's both because
Yeah.
it always has that capability. When it's activated, it actually has smoke capability as well.
That's
Smoke.
what S means.
The S is for smoke. So you can
And
fire
then
smoke.
there's
over
also
it.
an H, which is heat rounds, which increases by 8 no matter what, or firepower by 8 no matter what.
who's
the
got
range
an
is.
H?
Okay,
I
so
don't
A
think
is
anyone in
armor
this narrative
piercing.
is.
I don't think there's any
Nobody's got
heat-
an H,
No
right?
heat rounds.
Panzer IV is
Alright.
probably.
And then the 3 ticks at the top represents a platoon.
Yes.
where
Yes.
If they're broken down into individual units,
And a 1
which
is
is
a squad.
3,
Yeah,
is 1
And
means individual
all units are
squads.
like that, infantry and
The
vehicles.
infantry units have an L.
Right.
That's for LMG.
So let's say
Light machine guns?
Yes, increases
Ah.
range by 1.
let's say a T-34 had what's a 16? That's just attack value. And a range of 8 goes up against a Stugie's front armor.
You're finished, bro.
What's your front
active-
armor?
yeah.
21.
Right. Okay, but the attack rolls. So direct fire
my front arm is
begins
21,
with
that's
2d10. Okay.
Yeah.
The way fighting formations modifies things is it actually modifies the die you roll.
Right.
So you start with a base of 2d10
Okay.
within your normal fire range. If you go to double your range or between your normal fire range and less than double,
Right.
you then take a modifier of -1. So you then would be rolling with 2d8, not
Okay.
2d10. If you go to extreme range or within 3 times your range, you'd go down to 2d6.
Jimmy.
At the point, if there's any other modifier for this guy firing at extreme range and he goes below 2d6, it's automatically a miss. You can't.
Okay.
The other,
So do you want
So-
higher dice, or you want?
you want higher because that allows you to roll a higher number.
Okay.
So
and-
let's say I have an attack factor of 16. I go up against the Stug
Right?
with the D10.
And
What
here it is.
happens? Can I?
You would
can I-
roll
you would
2d10. The
Yeah.
maximum you could roll there would be 20.
Okay.
Plus your 16 is 36. However, he's going to get 2d10 as a defense roll as well. So he's starting with, if you're shooting him in the front,
Oh, is that right?
yeah.
Yes.
If you're shooting him in the front, he's
But
going
there's,
to
there's modifiers on the defender's side as well.
That's a little crazy.
Why?
Shouldn't you just have an armor
He's got a
rating? You
21,
penetrate
huh?
it, you're done. You don't like that?
So you got to roll. So,
to make the
so
game.
if I rolled a 15 and he
Well, you know what
rolled
I'm
a 9,
saying.
Yeah.
You kind of understand what I mean?
Panzer.
Yeah.
that'd be a hit.
He would take a hit marker.
Well,
Oh,
it makes,
you make a
it makes
single
sense.
mark.
That's what I'm
He would
saying.
take a
What are you
single
talking
hit
about?
marker.
Forward versus flank?
Cheeks
No, we're
in the
just talking about, like, when
armors,
you fire.
Weak spots.
I get to.
You hit a radiator grill.
Oh, you're saying it's throwing a little,
Oh, okay.
little
randomness in
random,
there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Track hit.
The other
Yeah.
the other neat thing about the damage is you would take a damage chip. So you draw it at random. There's one on each side. There's one with a silhouette of an infantry down there, and then you got on the flip side you got a silhouette of an armored vehicle.
That's if you hit him, then you
So
pull
if you
in
hit the
kick.
armored vehicle,
Yeah.
that yellow one there is immobilized. So you got that M in there. Oop, you went to
You're
shaking.
immobilized.
Sorry.
There you go. You got the M
Oh,
in there.
there's an
means
M and an F.
Yes.
M and an F. The M is immobilized. The F means he can't fire.
Right. So you took a track hit.
The morale is the number in the top right. In this case, what is that? Red 18. Now there's a difference between a red and a black number. If you roll, you have to roll below that number. So in the case of the 10 that I just dropped there, you'd roll 10 or below. He rallies. You can remove that. You remove that chick. If in the case of the 10, if you rolled 11 or higher, nothing happens. No big deal. On the yellow one with the red 18, you roll 18 or less and you're good. You roll 18 or higher, you're dead. The red number would eliminate him if you fail your morale check.
Oh, is that right?
Yes. As opposed to a black number, if you fail your morale check, it's a reduction, right?
No, there's no penalty.
No penalty.
If
You
you
just- you
miss,
just
you
fail.
miss. Yeah, you fail.
Okay.
Now, if you fail on the black number, there's no penalty?
Well,
No.
you're still
Well,
under
you're
that status
still-
effect.
You still have that hit.
You're still either
Yeah, but then
immobilized
why
or
would you
unable
roll
to
against the
fire.
black number then? You would never.
Well,
Yeah, well,
it's,
sure you
each
would,
counter
'cause you
is
can't fire.
different. Like not all of them have. Some of them have red. Theirs is more severe.
Okay.
If it's a red number and you fail your roll, the unit is destroyed. They are
If
routed.
you've got that broken, you can't fire or move. You're going to tell me you're not going to try and rally yourself?
Yeah, I would.
Alright.
Oh, so that number's for rally.
Right. That's what the black number, or the number in the top right corner is. If
You're
it's
trying to
black,
rally.
There's no penalty. If it's
Which is
red
another.
and you miss,
Oh, I see what you're saying.
It's
There's a
eliminated.
penalty for
The rally order does
Got
that.
it. Got it. Okay. Okay.
What
All
about
right,
the-
let's go. I'm ready.
No, wait a minute. What about the asset cards?
asset cards, at those top orders up there, 10, 9, and
These?
8, you would get to draw that many. And then at the bottom, well, really, any token removed can do an asset, play an
Wow.
asset card.
Don't look at
but-
those.
or just take
Artillery
one.
barrage. I gotta know.
Some of
Don't
them
look at
will.
those.
No, I'll shuffle them, but I have to know
Alright.
what you, in case I want to buy
No
some.
setting up decks.
So when can you play an asset card?
Oh,
When you
not magic.
we draw an order cube is one way I know.
You would draw an order cube, and actually any of them above the 1, you could play the asset. If you draw an asset card and you don't like it, it's not useless. That's how you use your APCR, your LMG. You have to discard the asset card to be able to use that ammo.
Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. Did y'all
Oh.
go over to Boeing platoons to
Not yet.
squads.
Not yet.
There also are reaction cards. They will say specifically reaction, and they will tell you the terms under which you can play that card.
Wow.
If it doesn't say that, then it's not. It will either say reaction or order, which will tell you when you can play it.
Cancel the barrage. That'd be nice.
Yes.
Because a barrage, it's a barrage
So there,
devastating.
for playing a reaction, there is no
all
restriction of
devastating.
having to have an order in play other than whatever the terms listed. This says play during any order.
Barrage
So in this
can
case,
also
this
hurt
can be
you.
played regardless
Is
of
that
what
right?
order you have active.
Depending upon
My own
you-
barrage.
Yeah, well,
Exactly.
Friendly fire.
there is friendly fire. And,
Yes.
All right, so let's talk about firing for a second. You attack the hex, not the unit.
Oh.
So you're firing into a hex. Now, if there's an infantry, so a soft target and a hard target in there,
Yep.
the firing person firing needs to choose as long as they have that option available. So my Stug's firing at you had a T-34 and an infantry unit in there.
Okay.
I have to choose which round I'm firing with. Am I firing
Oh, okay.
AP or am I firing
Are you
HE?
going for the soft target? Or you going for the hard target?
Right, and then at that point it would hit whichever one is available to hit.
Now, what if you had 2 hard targets and 2 soft targets in there?
If I chose hard target, I'd shoot at the hex. So both of the hard targets would need to do
Right.
damage checks.
Oh, so it would go
Like-
after any targets.
It attacks the hex. Anyone in the hex that
Okay.
that received damage from that firepower.
So it doesn't matter how many hard targets are in there or soft,
Well,
they're going to get attacked.
AP attacks can only affect targets with AP
Armor.
black armor.
Yeah.
HE attacks can only affect targets with HE armor. So in this case, in almost every case, vehicles have armor value and infantry has
Except for
morale.
trucks.
Yeah.
Because you're looking at the white.
You're looking at the lower right corner for the
Right, but they're white
defense
boxes,
value.
right?
The color
White box.
coding tells you who you're
Yes.
firing at with what.
Like Benjamin
Yep.
Lears like that. Yeah, so you got the white box against white box, black
Yeah.
box against black box if you had
Yes.
armor.
Right.
So in this case, if these guys, if these units are stacked,
Smoke.
Smoke also.
and I'm firing into this, I can pick to either fire AP or HE rounds, but depending on what I pick, I'm only going to affect one of those targets.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
The other thing about
Where was this guy?
We'll get that.
I'll look into it. The other thing kind of unique is that when you have 2 units in melee, you can still fire into that hex. There's no ethics here. You can shoot at your own guy. And he
I
will.
can actually shoot
If
at my.
you had 2 infantry and you shoot HE into that hex,
Yes.
both units have to take damage checks.
Yeah, but you wouldn't want to do that.
Wow.
That's
Depends.
probably a bad idea.
What kind of commander are you?
Yeah, I mean, I would like to be Hitler, but I'm not that good. No, I'm sorry. Oh my.
Yeah, that's like
Who wouldn't, right?
ASL. You fire into that hex, everybody.
Oh well, I imagine
Yeah.
ASL.
There's
Yeah,
no rule against it.
Everybody's.
but that's the pinnacle of squad. Yeah.
Same thing, we were talking about barrage a little bit earlier. There's actually a pretty neat chart on here that talks about your accuracy. You roll a d20 and it tells you where it lands. At that point, all the adjacent hexes are hit.
Oh, for
So
bombardment.
you can bombard your own guys.
Yep. That's if you don't hit the hex, right? You got to see where it lands.
You would roll the d20 and wherever that lands, it'll show you. You kind of orientate it. to the
19 or
map.
higher accurate.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
You mean
That's hard.
You mean it doesn't-
Every number
There are modifiers to it. though.
refers to a hex that it's going to hit.
So you just roll to see where it lands?
Yeah.
Really? Okay.
19 and 20 are the, and can you barrage any hex, or do you have to have a line of sight?
You
to the
gotta
hex?
have a
You to have
command.
Yeah.
One of your commands is the only ones that can spot, right?
Right.
You
That
gotta
makes
have a
sense.
command to
that can-
spot.
that can
And line of
spot that
sight.
Line of sight.
Line of sight. Yep.
He's the only
That
one that
makes
can do
sense.
it.
All right, that makes perfect.
Okay, that's
Yeah, these
great.
command markers seem to me that they're headquarters. That's what they are. They're leaders.
Right.
In Panzergrenadier, to be considered a
Right.
leader or headquarters, whatever. Okay. Okay.
There
Radios.
two cases in which you may fire on your opponent's activation. There's reaction fire. When your opponent does a fire command, any unit that can see the firing squad may perform a single return fire. Doesn't have to be whoever, like if I'm here, Soviets are firing on the Pioneer squad. Any squad or any unit that can see this rifle company may take a single reaction fire. It does not have to be the original target, just anyone that sees them.
So they can
So they always will. There's no reason not to.
Well, there is.
Rate of fire.
You can
For
unleash.
one thing, you have to pay initiative. So if they're not in command, it's going to cost 2.
Ah.
If they're in
You see?
Tactical command is going to cost you 1,
Good.
and there's also a chance to become spent, which
Right.
is the diamond number is the fire rate of fire value. In the case of this Pioneer Squad, it's a 4. What that means is on a return fire or an op fire, if either or both dice come up 4 or less, that unit is spent out of ammo. The attack still is resolved, however, they get a spent marker that lasts until the end of that activation. It's only for that existing activation that they're unable to fire again.
Oh, for the next turn, you're okay?
Not even the next turn, just that
Next
activation,
order.
that
Yeah.
exact firing order.
Okay,
Okay.
Yeah.
all right.
The other thing about that, if there was a T-34 in with that infantry unit, if the infantry fires, the return fire must be HE. You can't
Yeah.
take that chance to fire at the T-34. So whatever came out goes back in.
Oh, I see.
And if there was, if that one unit, if that infantry up front there, I can't see what it is.
Grenadier.
Grenadier, if he was locked up in melee, he couldn't fire because you can't shoot out of a melee hex.
Right, makes sense, yeah. They're in the middle of trying to save their
Right.
souls.
If any unit's in melee, they're going to fire at the melee hex.
Right.
The other case of...
Can you fire into the melee hex?
Yes.
Yes.
Either
At your own
side.
men as well?
Yes.
Yeah.
The other case in which you can fire on your opponent's activation is op fire. This is reaction fire. Anytime a unit within your line of sight expends movement points, you may, for every hex that they enter, or for every action they take that costs a movement point, they may take a shot. So if
The
he's moving
Mauser.
through here, every single step that costs a movement point is an allowable reaction fire, opportunity fire.
And what's the cost of the?
The same.
opportunity fire?
Oh,
It's
2 again, or
initiative
within
based
command?
on what they're in. In this case, if I were to move here, every unit that has line of sight to him may
We'll
take a
tear
shot.
him up. Unleash hell.
Yeah.
But it'll cost you still initiative.
If they're in command, it costs nothing.
Right.
Yeah, but
Oh,
if
is
they're
that
not,
right? If they're in command, you don't
If
have to
they're,
suspend
if they're in
them?
mission command,
That little token,
Yeah.
mission command is 0 for every order, every activation that you do. So if you're doing opportunity fire, return fire,
Until
your-
the
your
next
move
turn.
order,
Okay.
until the next turn, because the next turn is going to flip.
It's gonna flip, got
That
it.
becomes a tactical command, which is a 1. So then every time you activate anyone in tactical command, it's 1.
Times 1.
Again, if it's opportunity fire, return fire, your order that you're given
Oh, okay.
at the time.
It all matters, okay, on that
Here,
note.
Armor-
why don't y'all hang on to that, because that
Alright.
just sort of gives you a,
Okay.
Armor and guns get,
It gives you a little.
when they move into a new hex, they get a 1 pivot for free.
Okay.
If they start in a hex and they want to turn, that's a movement. So they would be able to be opportunity fired on at that instance.
Okay, if they just turn.
If they turn on their first turn,
Okay.
on their first hex move,
Right.
if they want to turn this way, that's a movement.
Oh, okay.
If you move straight and then turn, well, first of all, you're moving into the hex, so you can opportunity fire for that. But they do get a free. It doesn't cost them a movement point.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
rotate one
Because they
hex.
moved forward 1 or whatever, right,
Yeah.
okay.
the other